So here we are again then, another season. I mean, it's been a great summer really, isn't it? Because we had the Euros, of course, and it's been a great summer for West Ham. Let's get it straight. I mean, this has been quite an exciting transfer window. I mean, like many, I was not predicting it to be this good. I was expecting a fair amount of change. We knew it'd be busy, but I wasn't expecting us to deliver in terms of the way we have in terms of incoming players. So it really does build things up, doesn't it? And I've just got a feeling that the atmosphere against Villa is going to be almost carnival-like. I think it's going to be a really electric, exciting evening for everyone because, it's a new dawn at West Ham. Like the thumbnail, it is a new dawn because, we've had a fair few years now with David Moyes. Don't get me wrong, some really great memories in there. And I've been, I always say it, very grateful for what he brought to the football club. But it was getting stale. And the last season, it just felt like the change was just so desperately needed. We needed to breathe some new life into the club and just modernise things. And it just feels now that we've got what we wanted. We are where we want to be. I can't think of it gone any better, really, if I'm being honest about the summer. That if you'd said that this is where it was going to end up, I can't think it would have gone much better than it has. So I'm really, really excited. And now we face Aston Villa on the opening day. I mean, it's one of those that I'm feeling relatively. It's a mixed bag. I'm relatively confident, but there's a feeling of anxiety about it as well, only because of the fact that it's just such an unknown at the moment when it comes to us. We don't really know what to expect really. The pre-season's been a bit iffy, but I don't really pay too much attention to pre-season. I really don't. I'm not that fussed about it. I just think it's more of a case of that you want to see the players getting fitter up for it. And hopefully start seeing a little bit of pattern of play that you can see, right, okay, West Ham have got a bit of a system here building, but it's been hard in that regard. And of course, a lot of the players haven't been there, have been away on other international duty, etc. So it's been tough in some regard, but that being said, that doesn't take anything away. I'm very excited. As we usually do, let's talk about the opposition first. Aston Villa, I mean, a remarkable season for them last time out, wasn't it? I mean, getting Champions League football, fantastic. Really, really pleased for them. And it's one of those where it puts to bed that kind of notion that, you haven't got a chance to get in the top four. Like if you said to now, like to some, say, rival fans about West Ham this season and say, oh, I've got a feeling we could be fighting for top four spots, they just sort of dismiss it out of hand. I'm not saying we will be, by the way. I'm just saying if you did suggest that, people just completely no chance, no way. And I'm sure the vast majority would have said the same last season about Aston Villa. But, no, they won't be competing that high. But they did really well, and they fully deserve their place in the Champions League this season. I think it's going to be a distraction from them. I do think they're going to have to deal with it. It's not going to be easy for them. But they've done well in the transfer market. I think they've had a good summer overall. You look at Onana. I mean, great signing. I know we were close to signing him, wasn't we, before he went to Everton. Just such a monster of a player, really a top draw midfielder. And I think they've done really well to bring him in. I mean, he's one of them players I look at and think, I'm surprised that the other bigger sides weren't looking at him, to be honest. I think he was really, really good. He did well for Everton, considering, the plight they've been in. I think he's a very good player. And I think he's an astute signing for Aston Villa. Also got Ian Martin, didn't they, from Borussia Dortmund, a player that we were linked with for quite some time. Fantastic player, real talent, and I'm sure he'll do well at Villa too. Look, they've been really shrewd. Let's look at the players here. Ealing Jr., I mean, that was a great signing from them. English as well, I think it ticks the old homegrown as well. I think a very astute signing. Ross Barkley, I mean, did brilliant, didn't he, for Luton last season? He was a real standout performer for them. Obviously, it wasn't enough to keep him in the Premier League, of course, but he was a sort of shining light for them, and it was the move that he really needed. And you know what? I usually, if prior to that Luton period for him, I sort of thought, no chance. It wouldn't go well. But I see him now and think, actually, I think he could be a really wise move for Aston Villa. I think he's a good player. So yeah, fair play to them. And then obviously they've got their aspirations for this season, Aston Villa. I'll come to us in a minute. What I think with ours, but when it comes to Aston Villa, I think that some of the fan base would be expecting, we're going for top four again. We want to be in the Champions League. I totally get that. You achieved it. You want to do it again. I struggle to see it. I'm going to be honest at this stage. I do struggle to see Villa doing it again. I think it's going to be only really because not so much they're any weaker or anything like that. If anything, I'd say they're probably stronger now. They've got a bit more depth about them. But to repeat that feat again with the Champions League as well going on, I think it's very hard. You saw them last season. They didn't win the Conference League, did they? And that, you know, despite many people sort of suggesting it's this sort of, oh yeah, you're in the tournament, you're going to go and win it. It's a tough. It wasn't easy, and I think you could see towards the end of the season the fatigue with them was kicking in with Villa, and I get the impression that, I mean, look, I'm imagining this as if it was West Ham. If you're in the Champions League, it's a real big distraction in terms of, because it's right. So if you've got a team, let's imagine you're playing Barcelona on a Wednesday night and you're playing on the weekend, the players, even some of the fans, are going to have one eye on that game. And I just think it does have a bit of an effect. So if Villa can finish in the top 6 this season, I think that's a brilliant season for them. And I think most Villa fans would agree with that. If they got European football again, I think they'd be very happy. I think that'll be their aim, I'm sure. I mean, they've done, as I say, really well in the transfer market. Great side. But they've had there is some positives going into this, I think, from West Ham's perspective. You look at Ollie Watkins, fit, yes, but he hasn't played any pre-season football, which is interesting. John Duran, the same, hasn't played. Obviously, he's been heavily linked with West Ham, of course. I think there's going to be some kind of, I think there'll be a fair amount of attention on him for this game, especially if he features. But I think that plays into our hands a little bit. I think if you're going to play Aston Villa, it's a good time to play them early. Do you know what I mean? Let's get, and they're probably saying the same about West Ham. Let's get it straight. I'm sure they'll be saying the same thing, but I do think this is not a bad time, and I hope we can just catch them before they get going. And also, you've got to bear in mind that they've got a really torrid record against playing West Ham away from home. So hopefully we can continue that. But yeah, overall, I'm really very impressed with Aston Villa. You look at their midfield as well now, Nana. It's strong, really strong. And West Ham have got their hands full. Let's get it straight. I mean, this is where my concerns come in, because you think about the pre-season. And I get pre-season, it's not competitive football, so it is different. And in terms of the intensity as well from West Ham perspective. But, you know, you look at the Celta Vigo game and you're going to look at, compared to this is going to be very, very different. You know, this is going to be fast, furious. I think it's going to be a real battle out there on Saturday evening. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited, but I think we've got to work very hard. We're going to have to work very, very hard against a good side that are no doubt going to, but like us, going to be wanting to fight for those sort of European spots again this season. I'm sure Villa as well would like to repeat what they did last season, but as I say, I think they'll struggle a little bit to do that. But that's a tall order. But yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. And then it goes on to West Ham. Let's talk about West Ham. I mean, a remarkable summer and so exciting. I mean, I can't think of a time being a West Ham fan where I've been this excited going into a football season. I know you'll say, look, I can go back to some videos from a year or two ago and say, yeah, well, look, you know, you were excited then. Yeah, I have been, but this is real. You know, I'm buzzing with excitement now. I do feel that we're on the cusp of something quite special, West Ham. If we can get it right, of course, we've got to get it right. And it's going to take time. I think that's one thing that's so important, is that we're patient as fans and as everything. I think we've got to realise that this is going to be this is a lot of change going on, and it's unlikely it's going to click straight away. It's going to take a little bit of time for things to gel and to settle down. But that being said, that still doesn't take away the excitement, and I think we're in for a really special occasion actually against Villa. I think it's going to be a good night. You know, under the floodlights is always something about West Ham and under those floodlights. I don't know what it is, but it feels like we adapt our game well to that. Do you know what I mean? We seem to play into that work really well, and I feel like we rise to the occasion. I've just got a feeling that's going to be the case against Aston Villa, to be honest. I've got down my predictions here in my team, what I think we should be doing. This is it. This is the team. This is the team I want to go for. Put your team in. I want to know what you're going for, because I think there's going to be a fair few differences here. I've tried to be mindful, right, of the fact that, yes, we've got new players in and we want to get excited and see them on the pitch, but also thinking we're playing a really good Premier League side here. A team that we're going to be mixing with, we hope to be this season. It's actually, I know it's ridiculous, game one. It's really important as well, because you know, the way you look at it, if West Ham get a result here and beat Aston Villa, if we beat Aston Villa, let's leave it at that. If we beat Aston Villa, it really does set the tone well. Do you know what I mean? I always find the first 8 games of a Premier League season, these has always been my kind of mindset. The first 8 games really dictate a lot of where you're going to end up. So my feeling is the first 8 games, you want to get, say, 4 wins in there. Do you know what I mean? You want to get some good points on the board, nice and early, get going, start being near the top. You want to be fighting around there. And when you look at the fixtures we've got, and like I say, Villa being a side that we're going to consider competing with this season, then I think to myself, well, then this is a vital opportunity. West Ham really want to get something out of this game. So my team selection reflects that a little bit. I feel like I've wanted to mix, the excitement and get those new players out, but also be a bit like cautious of the fact that we've got to be quite mindful of who we're playing here. This is a tough game. So yeah, I was going to get on with it. As I say, I want your predictions in, please, and I'd like your scores in as well. So here we go. It's going to be in goal, Areola. I mean, he's our first choice goalkeeper. I'm pretty sure everyone agree with that. I love Fabianski. I love the fact he's our backup keeper / cup keeper, whatever we want to call him now. So I've got no problems with that, but Areola for me starts definitely. Right back now, I'm going to go for Wan-Bissaka. I know. I look. I actually think that Soufal played well against Celta Vigo. He looked all right, looked pretty sharp. He was up for the game. I've got no problem with Soufal playing, really. I've got to be honest. I think he is, although I've talked about it previously, I find sometimes he dips in form a bit frustrating during the season. He always has those sort of 3 or 4 games where he's just really off the pace, and then he picks back up again. I mean, it happens, but I always feel like that's a bit of a running theme with Soufal. He's either very, very good or he can have really bad games. But with that being said, though, which I like the fact he's another option for us. I just feel like with Wan-Bissaka, with the pace to deal with Villa. Villa are fast. They play on the wings. They are a fast side, and I want to see Wan-Bissaka playing. You know what I mean? He's had a good pre-season as well with Manchester United. We know he's been playing with them. The manager's already alluded to it, Lopetegui or J-Lo. He commented on it and said that Wan-Bissaka's had some minutes already for Man United, so he's kind of alluding to the fact that he's going to be available for selection. So I'd like to see that. The back 2, I'm going to go for Todibo and Kilman. So 3 new players straight away. Todibo, I've got no problem putting in. He is a top draw player. I've got no problems. I think he'll be a player that will come in quite comfortably. In terms of nerves or anything, I don't know any of that. I think he'll settle in lovely. And I want to get this partnership with him and Kilman up and running fast. It's important that they get that understanding quickly. As I've said, right, we've got to be patient as fans. I'm not expecting this absolutely beautiful, wonderful performance from the back 4 because they're all quite, getting used to each other. But I'd like to get on with it. There was a part of me thinking, do we want to put a gird in? Do we want to have a little bit of a, see what we can do here and getting players that have been there, and it might be a bit of a safer bet. But I just think with the quality that we've got there, especially in Todibo, I just want to see it now. And I think it's important we do that. So, yeah, I've gone for Todibo and Kilman as my back 2, with Emerson, of course, at left back. Hoping for another good season with him involved. So this is where I've had to think now. I've gone for a midfield 2, and I'm expecting them to both to really help out defensively as well. I think this is going to be a game where they're going to be quite tight and be quite careful because of the quality you've got. You've got John McGinn in there, obviously a very, such an, I wouldn't say underrated player, I think he's less glamorous, isn't he, John McGinn? But I'll tell you what, he's a very good player, and he works so hard for Villa. He's been a wonderful player for them, and I think he's a problem in this game. I think you've got him, Tillemans, and you've got Nana as well in there. I think it's going to be that's tough. That's tough, and we need to be really resilient to that. So I'm going for Rodriguez, who I think has been outstanding for us. I think he's since he's already come on, I think he already shows a real quality about him from what we've seen so far. He looked quality, didn't he, against Celta Vigo? Really carries the ball beautifully, and I want to see him in there. And I'm going to go for Thomas Souček in the midfield. I know it really goes against what I've been saying for quite some time. I wanted to see the change there. This is my mindset now of who we're playing. I just feel like we need to have a bit of resilience in there. Someone's going to work really hard, get stuck in, and just cause problems for them, disrupt things a little bit. And I feel like Souček's that person we're going to need. I'm not expecting anything creative out of him. I'm not expecting him to be pinging the ball around beautifully, just to be there, to get stuck in, play a bit more defensive, and just help out, because we're going to need it when Villa are pressing. So that's my midfield 2. I want Lucas Paqueta playing ahead of them. So now, usually, when I was originally doing this team, I was going to have Rodriguez and Paqueta prepared as the midfield, with Kudus playing ahead of them. But I just feel like my concern was having Rodriguez and Paqueta as midfield against those 3. It just worried me. It really worried me. And I thought, I'm not sure. So hence why I've decided to chuck Souček in there, because I just think we need that bit of toughness in there. And I'd be concerned about Paqueta, to be honest, because I just think we haven't seen him really in that role there, and play. It worries me. So I just feel like, I don't want to be taking a big risk yet at the moment. I feel like with an opponent like this, we need to be really careful. So yeah, my midfield pairing is Rodriguez and Souček, with Paqueta playing in the number 10 role and dictating play, obviously going forward. I'm going to have Jared Bowen, of course, out on the right. I mean, nothing to say is there about Jared Bowen, our new club captain, as we revealed on this channel, and obviously on the West Ham Way Patreon and website, etc. We revealed it, so it's all got confirmed, which I'm great, and I'm so pleased for Jared. I mean, flipping hell, what a great signing he's been. He's just been remarkable for West Ham, and I'm thrilled for him. So yeah, I'll have him out on the right. I'm going to have Mohamed Kudus out on the left. I'm putting Mikel Antonio up front to start this game. Fulkrug, of course, was a major part of my thinking. I wanted to get him in there. I just think that, I just think for this game, start with Antonio. I feel like Fulkrug can come on. He will come on. I'm sure of that. At some point in the game, Antonio won't have the legs, I don't think, to see that the game through. We know that, and it's great to have those options. And I'm talking both ways. You know what I mean? If you could do it one way or the other, but I just feel like I'd like to start with Antonio, get him in there, bully them, and get right at him. And that's what he's good at. And I think also as well, he's had a good pre-season. I don't think there's any real reason for him not to start. Just because you've got new players, you don't have to immediately start them. As you say, I've got Fulkrug on the bench and also got Somerville on the bench. I'd like to see these two appear in the game. I want a bit of familiarity out there as well, because we've got a lot of change at West Ham. Bearing in mind, I mean, considering the fact that I'm feeling a bit bad about this, I've already introduced, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 new signings already out of the 11, with 2 waiting in the wings in terms of Fulkrug and Somerville that I'd like to be bringing on, possibly others as well. That's my thought for this game. I mean, I'm not the manager. That will not be the team. I don't think it's going to be too far away. I can't see Lopetegui going into this game and throwing all the new players out straight away and starting. I'd find that quite surprising. I think he's got to get the balance right here. And be very mindful of the opposition, because this is a tough game. We make no mistake, this is a very tough opening game. It's at home though, under the floodlights. I'd really like to know your thoughts. I'm probably going to get absolutely slated for putting Fulkrug on the bench. I'm expecting a little bit of flack for that one, but I just think it's the right call in this game. I get the feeling that Antonio will be right up for it. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that also that he's got that competition, it just a bit of fire in his belly. You might think, do you know what? I'm going to show this Fulkrug. I'm the striker. Do you know what I mean? Go out there, and I think we could use that. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So let me know your thoughts on it, but be kind if you can. Right, prediction time. I'm really looking forward to your predictions and see what you come up with for this. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I've been toying with a draw. Right, I've been toying with a draw, and I've been toying with, the idea of West Ham winning this game. I'm really, it's hard, isn't it? First game is so difficult, but the fact is, right, I'm going to go with my heart rather than my head more than this. All right, as much as I've been going my head with the selection, with my heart, this is the first game of the season, new era at West Ham, under the floodlights, on TV. It's just got that atmosphere. You know what I mean? I've seen as well that West Ham are doing the old big banner. You know what I mean? The big flag. I can't remember what they're called. Someone has to tell me on this. I think they're called it's like a Mexican wave flag or something. I don't know. Some sort of something. Anyway, one of those big flags. I don't know the type. Like they do behind the goal and all that. We're going to have one of them. And they're going to. I'm quite excited to see that. I really am. So I'm buzzing for this one. I really am buzzing. As you can probably tell. I think we're going to win. I'm going to go with my heart. I think we're going to win it. And I'm going to say West Ham 3, Villa 1. I think we're going to beat them. It's a big one, isn't it? Season's back. I'm excited. Come on, you Irons.